What's good, Commanders fans? Just want to react to today's press conference. And first, I'm going to talk about some news, a roster move that they did make. They did release running back Michael Wiley. Michael Wiley had a really good preseason, and I think either Anthony Lynn said he was doing really well in mini camp and OTAs, or it was Dan Quinn who gave him a shout out in the during the summertime, one of the practices that he had during this off season. I know I believe he had a touchdown against the Jets in the preseason game, and then he had a touchdown against the Patriots in that third preseason game where we wore all black jerseys in a preseason night game. So Michael Wiley's talented, man. He went to Arizona. He can catch out the backfield. He's a good scat back. He's a tough runner. I think he's similar to Jared Patterson. Like he had a Jared Patterson type of preseason, but there's just not a lot of spots left on the roster when you have JCM, you have B-Rob, you have Eckler, you have C-Rod. It's even tough to see Chris Rodriguez make the roster again. I think he's going to be on the outside looking in because, and McNichols. I didn't even say Jeremy McNichols. Let me bring up the depth chart here real quick. But they had to make a corresponding move because they brought in Von Miller. We had 90 guys on the roster for a training camp, and then they put the offensive lineman from NC State, I'm blanking on his name right now. They put him on the non-injury report list or something like that, or a non-contact football list. So he still counts to the 90-man roster. So the odd man out was Michael Wiley. Casimir Allen is still on the roster. I do disagree with that. I think Michael Wiley's the better player. But, Casimir Allen probably will make the practice squad again. And Demetric Felton is on the roster too. So it's a numbers game. Some of it may be a little bit of favoritism there with Casimir Allen, another UCLA guy. But I do like Demetric Felton a lot. I like guys who have produced before. Like even though it was like 2022, that Demetric Felton had a solid season where he was making plays with the Browns and other teams. Like they probably have Demetric Felton above Michael Wiley. But I just want to see Michael Wiley play a little bit in preseason. But it is what it is. It's nothing to cry over or anything like that. I wish him the best. I wish him well. Just like Jared Patterson caught him with other teams. Hopefully Michael Wiley can get an opportunity somewhere else, at least on the practice squad. I think he's that good where he should at least be on a practice squad. Like he shouldn't be out of the NFL. He should definitely be on somebody's practice squad, competing somewhere and doing that and making other guys better. I definitely think he's talented enough to do that for sure. So like I said, we already know that B-Rob's going to make it. Eckler, McNichols, and JCM. So that's four backs that are going to make the roster right there. And then your two practice squad guys could be Chris Rodriguez and Demetric Felton. So we'll see what happens with some other guys. I thought they were going to cut like one of the receivers like Michael Strachan or somebody like that. But I do see on our lad's depth chart, they have Casimir Allen listed as a wide receiver, which I know is not true. He is a running back. They don't have him listed on the ESPN depth chart, but I know on the website he's listed as like a running back / wide receiver, like a gadget guy. So, all right. So shout out to Michael Wiley. I just want to give him a little bit of time because I did like the player. I do like him as a player, and hopefully he latches on somewhere else. So, all right. So let's move on to the presser. So the presser to me wasn't really crazy. I mean, Adam Peters is a guy who keeps his things close to the vest. He's not going to give a lot of information. Has his poker face on and stuff like that. They were late. They were on CP time. It was supposed to start at 10:30. It started about 10:45 or 10:50. They said it was because of traffic, so they were on CP time. So Adam Peters they asked him on if Terry McLaurin will report to training camp today. He said he hasn't spoken about that. Like all of our players, we expect him to be here today. Right now it's about 3:00, 3:15. They have to be there by 6 or 5 o'clock. I listened to Ben Standing on the radio today. He said they have to be there by 5 or 6. Trey Hendrickson, he put something up on Instagram that he's not there. So that's another guy who was holding out as well. Let's see here. Adam Peters, he talked about the oldest roster. Some of the guys like Bobby, Wagner, Zach Ertz, those guys are still really good players. Same goes for Von Miller. We're going to look for great players that fit us, whether they're 22 or 35, we're going to bring them in. So, and somebody did ask about Von Miller's past. And Adam Peters gave the typical answer, like, yeah, we do look into stuff like that. He didn't really give like a colored answer. Or anything like that. Now, Dan Quinn was fired up to start off the presser, and Adam Peters was like, man, you always get me hyped with your opening presser, with your opening statements. So that was a little funny right there. This question is from David Aldridge. He says, Adam Peters on finding a deal that's fair to Terry into the team. Question from David Aldridge. Adam Peters' response saying, quote, understanding where they're at and understanding where we're at and trying to close that gap and come to something is really all the nuance of it. So that answer is, hold on, there's a notification coming. Did Tyrann Mathieu retire? Is he retiring? Wow, he's retiring. That's crazy. Tyrann Mathieu's retiring. And also, rest in peace to Michael Jamal Warner. Rest in peace to Ozzy Osbourne. I definitely grew up watching those guys. Definitely watched the Cosby Show, and I definitely watched Ozzy Osbourne, the reality show. Didn't listen to his music, but I definitely watched the reality show Ozzy Osbourne for sure. All right. So back to what Adam Peters said in that answer. So trying to close the gap. So from what we've heard, we still don't know any concrete information. The information we've heard from Jeremy Fowler is that Terry wants $30 million and that the Commanders are not coming to that right now, which I think is disrespect in my opinion. I think Terry deserves $30 million at least. Now, when you get to the 34, 35, 36, 37 talks that we've heard and that has been thrown out there, that's when I think, okay, I understand Adam Peters on his stance there where he doesn't want to budge. But when you're just talking about $30 million, where Chris Godwin was going to get that for the Patriots are more than willing to give Terry McLaurin $30 million per year. If it's just 30, like that's not more than DK. That's not more than Garrett Wilson. That's about in line with Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's about in line with Brandon Ayuk, who I think he's better than Brandon Ayuk. I think he's better than DK Metcalf. And I don't care about 30 years old. I couldn't care less because Terry's going to be good for the next 3 years. If it's a 3-year, $30 million per year contract, that's going to be fine. Especially with Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is going to make him better. Like he has an opportunity to be better than what he has shown for the past 5 years. And even that is really good. And guess what? Malik Neighbors came in at 67 in the top 100 list. So everybody's like, oh, Malik Neighbors is so much better than Terry. I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'm happy that the players don't agree with that either. I'm happy about that. And Malik Neighbors is a good receiver, but I just think that everybody anointing Malik above Terry McLaurin already, I just think that was just a little too soon in my opinion. Malik Neighbors, I don't want to make this a Terry Malik Neighbors debate, but it is funny just seeing that because everybody's like, oh, there's 3 receivers that are better than Terry in the NFC East. I don't agree with that. If you want to say A.J. Brown and CeeDee, knock yourself out. We can argue about that. I do think A.J. Brown is better than Terry. I love Terry McLaurin with a passion. But if you want to anoint Malik over Terry, I just think it's too soon. That's just my take on it. I get Malik had a bunch of catches, but he got force-fed the football, which we didn't. We started to do that finally towards the end. But like I said, our offense, our style of play really is not like a force-feed a receiver. Jaden Daniels spreads the ball around. We're quick, no huddle, hurry up-tempo offense where we're not really force-feeding a player. It's fine if they want to do that to Terry, but that just wasn't our style of play, in my opinion, last year. But yeah, the point is that he's better than Malik Neighbors, in my opinion. But the gap has not been closed clearly. And like I said, if it's 30 mil, then the deal should be done, man. It really shouldn't take this long. Or it should not have taken this long and gotten to that point. And I'm going off of what Jeremy Fowler said. We don't know if that's the end all be all what Jeremy Fowler said. But I think that I think there's truth to what Jeremy Fowler reported. This is from Zach Selby. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters addressing the media. Peters opens by highlighting all the improvements the team has made to the facility over the summer. New locker room, new nutrition center, new practice bubble, and more. The locker rooms do look pretty good from the pictures I've seen. Tyler Owens posted something on his Instagram or social media, and they look pretty good. They look fine. Adam Peters on Von Miller, he said, not only is he one of the best pass rushers of all time, but he's equally incredible in the locker room. So yes, there are concerns. He was suspended last year for the incident, for a domestic incident. I won't get into it too much, but there was a domestic incident that he had, and he did serve suspension for that last year. Adam Peters on Terry McLaurin, just like with all of our players, we expect him to be here today. I already talked about that already. Adam Peters about Terry McLaurin, he says, quote, first, without a doubt, I think everybody in the building values Terry very much. We knew that coming in, and we know that even more after spending a year with him. We'll do whatever we can to get a deal done. Now, that's responding to a question about the Eastern Motors interview or press conference that Terry had, and Terry was like, I want to feel valued and stuff like that. Now, I do think they definitely value him. There's no way you just can't value Terry McLaurin. There's no way you can't value 13 touchdowns in a season and contested catches and leading the league in that and all that, and just the human being that he is, the leader that he is, the captain that he is, and the chemistry that he had with Jaden Daniels the last couple games of the year or throughout the season after the 3 slow games that they had to start off the season. You look at the Bengals game, I mean, my goodness. The chemistry on that pass, the trust that Jaden had just throwing the ball up there like that on that third or fourth down where he got hit, took that big hit and threw the ball up there to Terry. And then he threw the nice pass in the first or second quarter on Cam Taylor-Britt to set the tone for the day or for the night on Monday Night Football. I mean, how could you not value Terry? So they clearly do value him, but they just don't value. They don't agree on the value right now. But they like I said, I think 30 mil is appropriate. I really do. Let's see here. What other quotes do they have? We've had conversations recently, and we look to have more, and we'll do everything we can in order to get a deal done. So that is good to hear that they've had some conversations. Terry said that they have not. Now, I guess since the Eastern Motors commercial shoot, which was Tuesday, which was a week ago today, I guess they've had a conversation since then. So that's good news, if that is true. Dan Quinn said the Commanders are excited for players heading into their second years, highlights Javonte Jean-Baptiste. That did kind of ring a bell to him talking about Javonte Jean-Baptiste because – and then Brandon Coleman as well. He said he's been playing well at guard so far. So that's good to hear that too. But Javonte Jean-Baptiste, if you look at the rotation, so the rotation right now, Dorrance and Vaughn, and then Cleveland is your backup. Dietrich Wise is a backup. Jacob Martin is another backup. Jalen Holmes is another backup. And then Javonte Jean-Baptiste. So I'm intrigued to see how many snaps does Javonte really get. Does he really get meaningful snaps in the mix with those guys? Jalen Holmes was actually pretty good a couple times last year, in a couple games last year. He got a sack or at least two last year. I thought he did a good job getting some pressure. So I'm intrigued to see where Jean-Baptiste falls in the mix. Dan Quinn also says Jaden and Mikey corrected it in the season. That speaks to their rarity. Most, he said, focus on corrections during the offseason. Quote, they self-correct faster. So Jaden Daniels and Mikey Samerstill self-corrected really well last year. He loves Mikey. Of course, Jaden Daniels. But he likes Mikey a lot. Like you can tell, they really like Mikey. Mike had a darn good year. He played really well in the playoffs too, getting those interceptions, and reading Jared Goff's eyes and running the route for Jameson Williams in that playoff game that we beat the Lions. Excuse me. Dan Quinn said the next few days will be ramp up. He said the first 3 days are helmets with shells. He said the installation of drills is really what it's all about. He wants the players to be sharp in their skills. What else? He said, quote, Adam Peters said, quote, you always want to build your roster to win now and win in the future, talking about Jaden Daniels' eventual contract. Somebody asked him about that. So, yes, they are planning for that. They haven't signed a lot of long-term deals except for, like, Frankie. And that's really it for the most part. John Bates did sign, like, a 3-year deal. But other than that, we don't really have a lot of big contracts. A lot of the guys are elderly, like Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner, 1-year deals, and Cleveland Farrell was like a 1-year deal or something like that, I think. So we don't really have a lot of big. Austin Eckler, 1 year left on his deal. So a lot of guys, their contracts are up pretty soon. They are up. Let's see here. Adam Peters said, obviously you would like to get these things done quicker than longer, but it's not always going to happen that way. We're dealing with a really good player and a really good person. Our goal is to get a long-term deal done. Talked about that earlier. Sam Cosmi has hit all the markers, so that's good. That's good news to hear. Adam Peters on holdouts. I think that's just kind of the nature of our business. Obviously, you like to get these things done quicker, but it always doesn't have that way. We're dealing with in the case of Terry, a really good player and a really good person. There's going to be twists and turns, but having the confidence and understanding that our goal is getting a long-term deal done. So just keeping our focus on that. And that ties into with the Niners too. So like the Niners didn't get Trent Williams done. Let me see, because JP Finlay tweeted it out. He said the Niners didn't get their deal done with Nick Bosa until September 8th, like the extension, September 8th, 2023. Trent Williams signed his extension on September 3rd, 2024. So I would hate for it to happen like that. That would be unfortunate. You know, let's see. When is our first game? Our first game is September 7th. So, yeah, we cannot afford for Terry to hold out that long and sit out. Like, that would be insane if it takes that long. I would hate for that to happen. I really would. So, but we've seen the Niners way. He wasn't there for Brandon Ayuk, but we've seen how the Niners have handled things. And maybe that is the way that he's, it looks like that's the way that he's handling things over here. So, but I'm still blindly trusting Adam Peters, but at the same time, like the panic meter that we talk about on Commanders Kings every week, it certainly is going up. It's not going down. It's not going down. It's certainly going up. So, but Archie House, as always, I'm pretty optimistic a deal will get done, but I'm not naive to how things happen and things sometimes don't work out. But I do think he will be here. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think, worst case scenario, Sam Hartman cut his hair per Nikki Zavala. That's not really like important stuff, but it is funny to see there. But So he cut his hair. It's not even that much of a haircut looking at it. But yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. And then they will report the news if Terry showed up or not pretty soon. So I'll probably make a video, just like a quick 5-minute talking about that. If he does show up, I think that's better. That's a lot better than him not showing up. If he doesn't show up, like Trey Hendrickson, then that is really bad. But I don't think Trey Hendrickson is going to get traded either. Like, I think they're going to make a deal happen too. So, but all right, you guys, as always, Hail to Commanders. Peace.